people, this is for a Mullen update, M-U-L-N. If you're curious to know what's going on with it, this is what you need to know. Basically, let's take a look at the stock real quick. If we look at this stock, it is at 87 cents right now. The lowest that it's ever been is the 52 cents that it was at last week. It skyrocketed to $2. Now it's back down to 87 cents. If we look at the history of this stock, back in March 2020, when the giant crash happened, it hit right around the 80 cents that's trading at now. From there, it went all the way up to $6, came back down as low as, oh, that's the March spot. No, so it went all the way to $15, sorry. So let's do this. Okay, so here's March 2020. Here's when it hit that low. And this is about almost 2 years ago. And now it went all the way to 15, came back down to 5, went all the way back up to 15, went up to 17, came down to 10, and it's just been well, then it went down to 7, back to 13, and then the slow bleed all the way down to 50 cents. Okay? They never diluted throughout all this. The market, the float of the stock is still at 25 million shares. And so they have a lot of dilution that they can do with shares authorized that they just haven't brought to the market yet. When you see a 200% increase in a day like this, when it hits such a low bottom with such a low market cap, and I'm going to go over some of these numbers for you to show you what to look at. There's nowhere this stock can go but up. So if you bought in and you're down from when you bought in at $1 and now it's at 87 cents, like, that's the time to buy more. Like, every time it goes down 10%, you should be loading up even more if you haven't already gone all in. The stock is going to go up. That's a for certainty. And so I just want to show you some math real quick that proves that that is what's happening. That proves that retail is behind this and that they're throwing money at it. And that when retail throws money at a small float, it's always got to go up. Now, I can't promise you that it'll go up 1,000%. I can't promise you it'll go up 500%. But, like, I'm not leaving before $3, that's for sure. And I think $5 is more than reasonable. Depending on how much more volume follows. Like, I'm going to be tracking this on a daily basis and trying to give you guys daily updates. But depending on how much more volume comes with all this, depends if I think it's going to $10 or $20. And then depending on how much they dilute, when they dilute, it's all live action. We don't know what's going to happen until we see what's happening. So I just want to show you that I got the timestamps right here. So March 1st. Basically, this open interest was for February 28th. The volume is for March 1st. I got both the October, July, March, and April expiration data right there for Mullen. And then right here, this is March 2nd. So this would be March 1st open interest and March 2nd volume. And that's for March, April. That's July, October. And then obviously today's. If you wanted to look at today's open interest for yesterday to see what volume added, you can just come to the open interest today, but I'm not going to screenshot these until after the market closes. That way I have the volume also. So I just want to show you kind of where I'm getting my numbers from. And now I'm going to go here. Alrighty. So if you look at this guy right here, basically, I took the option chain of March 2022, and I took the February 28th, the March 1st, and the March 2nd data, and I just copied it down right here. Basically, we can see that the open interest from February 28th went from 32,000 to March 1st to 46,000 to March 2nd to 56,000. And so it's been increasing total number of contracts held each and every day. Now, over here, we can calculate, basically, if you take the new open interest of 46,000 on March 1st and subtract the old open interest of 32,000, That's going to give you 13,559 contracts. That's how many added open interest contracts there were on the March 2022 option expiration. Now, if you take the volume of what that was done that day, the 52,764, you subtract the 13,559, and then that remaining number, you divide it by 2, you get 19,603 contracts were closed out. Now that same many contracts was purchased plus this many, which was added to the total open interest. So basically, if you take 19,603 plus 13,559, you get 33,161 opened versus the 19,000 closed, and that's 62%. So on that day, it was 62% for the March expiration. The next day, it was 67% buying versus selling. On the April expiration, we had 65% buying the first day, 67.8% buying the second day. On the July 2022, we had 70% buying. We had 70% buying on the first day, and then 70.7% buying on the second. And on the October expiration, we had 77.5% buying from the first day, and then 66.7% still buying on the next day. And then if we add up just a little bit basic, so if we add up all the open interest from today for all the option chains, you get a total of 101,103 current open interest. That times that by 100, because each contract represents 100 shares. You get 10,110,300 shares. The float is roughly 25 million shares right now, so that leaves you at a 40.4% gamma interest, and every day it's rising. And so I'm going to be tracking the open interest and the volume for the options on a daily basis, and just showing you that more retail is coming in every single day. This only happens, you only see numbers like this when retail is buying. And if you do this same math that I just applied right there on that paper to any other option chain, I don't care if you're looking at BBIG, I don't care if it's AMC, I don't care if it's GME, there is no stock in the entire stock market that has a better number of open interest in comparison to the size of the float. So the gamma interest on Mullen right now today is greater than any other stock in the market out there. And so we don't necessarily have the most volume or the most dollars going in or the most contracts being purchased, but in relative to the size of the stock, we do. And so for every person that's buying options, there's more people buying stocks. And so the stock is going to go up. It's definitely a good idea to lock in some money. I strongly recommend just getting dollar strikes. I don't care if you like the July strikes or the October strike, or even the April strike. I just strongly recommend that you get the $1 strikes and buy as many as you can. It's basically two for one. So like if you're buying shares, you'll profit twice as much by buying the options instead of buying the shares. And yeah. So again, or one thing I do want to go over, they do have authorized shares, which no one really talks about. It just means that this is in their back door if they ever need it. 500 million shares total. So if they needed to, they could dilute something like 400 million shares, 450 million shares. The price is going to go up before they start diluting, but once they start diluting, you definitely need to stick with the YouTube channel and see what we're doing, because it may be time to exit sooner than people think if they try to sell all their shares. But remember what I just showed you here. This price has been moving like crazy for quite some time, since 2020, and they never diluted before. So maybe they think they're a lot more valuable than $15 a share. Otherwise, why didn't they dilute some of their 500 million shares when it was at $10, $15, $5? And now it's at 88 cents, and you expect me to believe that they're just going to dilute all 500 million shares? Well, great. Now it's a 500 million market cap, and they couldn't dilute another dollar if they tried. because they just diluted every share that they had. I don't think they're going to play it that way. So I know the uptrend's coming. Depending on how they react, depending on how retail buys in, will depend on how much I think it's going to keep coming. But something is definitely brewing here. And yeah, you don't see 200% gain in a day, and you don't see this type of volume of hundreds of millions being traded in volume for a float of 25 million shares. It's just not normal. And that means because the market cap's so low and the 52 cents is the low, like the stock literally at 88 cents got nowhere to go but up. Maybe it hits 75 cents, but if it hits $2 tomorrow, like you're going to hate yourself for waiting for 75 cents. I'll tell you that much. Like you would have much rather just bought in at the 88. It's not going back down to 52. Otherwise, every person that came in and squoze it at 52 would be right back because it would turn into the exact same play. Besides, there's a crap ton of retail backing it on top of whoever already squoze it the first time. I just showed you the proof that retail's backing this in the options. And so if they drop it back to 52, whoever was there the first time is going to come back. So it's not going back down to 52. It's going up from here. Buy the $1 strikes and you will make money, people. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.